right, so I want to welcome everybody to our advanced smartphone settings class. Now this is going to talk about settings, talk about cases, talk about VPNs, talk about all of these different things. We're going to do some of the stuff on your device, and we're going to do some of the stuff in a higher level. Now, the goal of today is to tell you some things that a lot of companies would never tell you. I like to show you things that people wouldn't show you, like we're going to talk about screen protectors. My goal, I'm not trying to sell you anything today. I'm trying to sell you on the concept of where tech is headed, if that makes sense. This is where we're trying to go today. So the first thing we need to talk about is actually cases, is the cases on your device, because I think that cases are a very, very interesting thing. Go ahead and hold your device up if you got it. I know yours is invisible. So he's got a case. Now, here's something very important. If you look at the back of your case, just turn your case around back. Where the camera is it black? Now, if you don't have a case, don't worry about that. You're okay. You're empty. It's black with it, so it's clear where the camera is. You see that? You see, but most of us, it's black where the camera is. Do we agree on that somehow?
Yeah.
So even hers, if you take a look at this lady's right here, I'm going to steal her phone real quick. If you look at her phone, she's got a clear pink case, but you notice what they do right around the camera?
Make it black.
Yeah.
They make it black. Why they make it black is your camera, when the flash goes off, if you have something like, pass me your case right here, that one. If this is clear, I'm gonna shoot off the flash on both of these cameras, and you're gonna see my point. So if I shoot off the flash on this camera and this camera, you see that this flash is just kind of going straight out while this one's kind of reflecting off the case a bit? See the color? It's reflecting off the case a bit. It actually exposes the picture incorrectly. So what you want to make sure when you get a case, it doesn't matter what the case is made of. We're going to talk about different case materials and different things in a minute, but you want to make sure that it's black around here. Now, I'm not going to do this, but a great way to fix this,
Sharpie.
not on the phone, on the case, you can, if you want to still keep the case, you Sharpie the case, but you'll see your pictures get dramatically better because when the light, it doesn't even need to have the flash, but when the light is bounced off of there, it creates a different perspective. That's why if you look, most of your cases, even if they're different colors, on the back are black. They're black right there. So let me pass that back to you. Let me see yours real quick, because I think yours even has it, right? Yeah.
It's got, I don't know.
Yeah, it's black. It's black.
Okay, the gold, the silver part is still on the inside.
Okay, so she asked a good question. No, as long as you have the black there, you're okay. It's so that light coming in doesn't reflect off of the surface. And that's an interesting thing. So when you're shopping for a case, not only are you looking for protection, but you're looking for some different things as well. Now, there are not many cases I haven't seen before. Let me see the back of your case. It's okay. It's okay. The worst ones are those plastic ones that are like a see-through material. Those are the worst. But here's the thing. There are not many cases I have not seen before. I want to show you a case. It's actually from the UK. I have not found a supplier in the US yet. Now, when I got my Samsung phone, I went and I bought, with my Samsung Galaxy S8, I went and I bought a little crappy clear case like you had. And then I go to the Samsung. What? Sorry. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. That's the truth. Little crappy clear case. You're going to understand why this actually, I went to the store and I go, do you have a case for the Samsung Galaxy S8? Because like a week after a phone comes out, you don't have much choice in cases. You got, and the girl goes to me, oh Siri. The girl goes to me behind the counter. She goes, have you ever heard of a non-Newtonian fluid? Right? This girl goes, have you ever heard of a non-Newtonian fluid? Now me being a nerd, I obviously said, of course I know what a non-Newtonian fluid is. She goes, oh, you're my new best friend. And I was like, she's like, this case uses non-Newtonian fluids, and my first response was bull. I said, there's no way it uses non-Newtonian fluids. What a non-Newtonian fluid is, you might have seen this in a science experiment before. If you take cornstarch and water, and you mix them together, you think about quicksand. If you go to cornstarch and water, and you put your finger in slowly, it goes in no problem.
Yeah.
But if you hit it, it gets hard really quickly. This case is by a company called Gear 4. It's out of the UK. And it actually has non-Newtonian, this stuff inside. I'll show you. I've never seen anything like this before. I got it about a month or so ago. You see this like plasticky stuff on the inside? Let me turn the flash on so we can see it a little better. There's this plasticky stuff right here on the inside. It's like rubber here. And it is a non-Newtonian fluid. What that means is if I press it like this, you see the corners go down. But if I hit it, it goes solid.
Really?
So if I were to drop the case or do different things like that, it goes solid. And this company actually makes bulletproof jackets and things like that that make all this. And it all uses this material right here that's a non-Newtonian fluid. And this is the case I have. I'm actually going to get a new case that's going to be the same thing I have for my iPhone, for my Samsung Galaxy S8. But I've dropped this thing multiple times, and every time it hits. So you'll see, if I'll pass this guy around, you'll see you can press it. But take the case and bang it against the table. You'll see it gets hard. It gets that. It's a company called Gear 4. They make the cases. I'll see if I can look up the actual tech inside.
Number 4?
Number 4, yes. Gear 4 cases. Drop. I didn't even think I was going to show you that one today, so we've got Gear 4. I'm going to see if oh, here we go. The UK's number, okay, it's D30 Technology. That's the name of the material inside. But they make cases, they make jackets that prevent like stabbings and stuff like that using this same non-Newtonian fluid on the inside. So there's all of this same non-Newtonian fluid.
D3.
That Gear 4 is the name of the company, but the tech that makes it work is called D30. D30, I could not believe it. I thought it was fake. And then I banged it against the table, and guess what? It works. It gets hard. It's amazing. I don't know how it works. I understand the concept behind it, but when you see when you hit it, it gets hard.
How long can you throw it, Richard?
How hard can I throw it? You know. We'll get there in a minute. But there are cases that serve a function. I mean, the thing is, the only person who doesn't have a case on their phone, I think you're the no, it's fine. Because here's the thing.
Screen protector, but not
Some
a case.
people like their phones to be naked.
Small.
Some people like them to be naked, and it's fine. The case industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yes,
And I mean, Apple, the last thing Apple wants you to do is put a case on their phone because they want you to see
It's
the beauty of the phone. It's very pretty, but it's also very easy to break. Now, over the years, I've had a lot of different cases, but one of my favorite cases, have any of you ever had, I know some of you do, have a battery case. Some of you have a battery case. I've seen a battery case. Yeah, that's yeah, he has a battery case. She has a battery case. Now, there are different types of battery cases from different types of manufacturers. I used to just buy cheap battery cases off of Amazon. And then one of the little plugs came out from my battery case, and it got stuck in my phone. The lightning port got stuck in my phone. So it was like, that's not good. So the lightning port gets stuck in the phone, and I had to go in and take 2 pins out of a new dress shirt and go in and get in the phone and pry out the stuff from the phone. This is a battery case. I mean, it can charge my phone with the case. So I charge the case. Now you'll see, even though my phone's not plugged in right now, it is actually charging. So even though it's not plugged in, my phone's actually charging. But here's where stuff starts to get really weird. I never plug my phone in.
Oh my.
Huh.
Yeah.
I never plug my phone in, and I'm going to give you a little glimpse of the future right here. Now, for many years, I had never plugged in my Samsung phone, but what's really cool is there's something called wireless charging. You've probably all heard of wireless charging before. If you have an Android phone, you might even have wireless charging on it. But Apple's phones do not wirelessly charge. Why that is you cannot wirelessly charge through metal. So the back of this phone is metal. The back of everybody's iPhones in here are likely metal. The back of your phone might be plastic. What is that's an oldie Android phone, right? But it's an older Android phone. Probably doesn't have this feature in it if you don't know about it, but the back of this is metal. You can't wirelessly charge through metal. You can either wirelessly charge through plastic or through glass. What a lot of people don't realize, do you see on the iPhone 5S you see that glass right there and that glass right there? Do you know why that glass exists? Because that's where all the antennas are. You can't make antennas work through metal. So the backs and the sides of all of your phones, you can take that back, are designed very intentionally. Even on this one, this is the iPhone 7 Plus. If you were to look at it, if you were to look at your phone, what you'll see is there's actually plastic built into all of these phones to allow the antennas to actually work. But you can't transmit anything with there. So what's really cool is this case has wireless charging built in. Where things get interesting is there is something called the WPC, or the Wireless Power Consortium. And what they do is they make wireless power standards that work everywhere. Now, wireless power has not caught on yet. You know why it hasn't caught on yet? Because Apple doesn't do it. No, it's not money.
You think they do it on purpose to make money off of the charger?
That's what I thought.
No, because the chargers are an open standard now. But here's the interesting thing. 3 months ago, Apple joined the Wireless Power Consortium. 3 months ago, they joined the people that set the standards for wireless charging. This is called the Mophie JuicePak Air. They make this for the iPhones, the iPhone 5, 5S, SE, the iPhone 6, 6 Plus, 7, 7 Plus. It has a battery inside that will keep your phone an additional charge, but here's the cool thing, it charges wirelessly. So I take it and I put it on a wireless charging pad. Now this is what I have in my cabin. I'm going to pick this up so you can see it. What I have in my cabin is this guy right here. I bring this just for this class. Here are 3 of my 5 phones, I think I have? No, I have one more phone other than this. I actually only have 4 phones now because I sold off 2 of my phones. So these are 3 of my 4 phones. All 3 of these phones are sitting here charging right now. They're plugged into one outlet. And the weird thing is, this is part of the Wireless Power Consortium, and the company that makes this is part of the base is part of the Wireless Power Consortium, and you'd probably never guess what company this is. Who do you think makes, I'll show you the prettiness of it, and maybe you can take a guess. Who do you think makes this charger? No?
Google.
IKEA. IKEA. And I've seen it in the UK as well. This is made by IKEA. Very, very simple. Made by IKEA. And you're like, oh. And this is called, I didn't write this one down on the sheet, I probably should have. This is called the Nord Mark III. It's just a 3-position IKEA wireless charger. They sell it in the stores. I saw it in Southampton the other day. But the thing is, you need a phone that's compatible, and you can't charge through metal. So what's cool is these cases, this Mophie JuicePak Air, the back of it is made of plastic. Therefore, you can charge the case. Inside of the case, there's a lightning connector. So you've got that lightning connector, then you can charge your phone inside of there. And this will make my phone, for a normal person, it'll make the phone last 2 or 3 days. For me, it makes my phone last a day, to give you the concept of this. Now, they make it for the iPhone. They also make it for the Samsung phones. They make it for a lot of different phones. The thing comes down to, though, they're only going to make it for the big manufacturers, the big phones that sell a lot of units. They're not going to make it, I don't think your phone was a flagship phone at the time. So his phone wasn't a flagship phone at the time, so they make it, but all of the Samsung phones have this built in because the back of the Samsung phones is made of what material? Glass. Glass. Here's the bad thing, though. Apple joined the consortium, which means Apple is probably going to release something that can do it without the case. But what does that mean the back of the phone is going to be made of?
Plastic.
No. This is Apple.
Oh,
Glass.
yeah, because they
So-
like for it to break.
No, they don't like for it to break. Samsung's had the glass phones going back many, many years. They've had the glass phones.
So is the iPhone 8 going to be a glass?
I'm not going to make a statement like that, but you're welcome to make that statement, and I'm welcome to agree to that statement.
Seems likely.
Yes, it seems very likely. Highly probable that you're going to have glass. Now, when we're talking about glass, where we need to go to next is screen protectors. Do any of you have a screen protector on your device?
Yes.
So, who doesn't have a screen protector on their device? Okay. If you don't, you need to put one on your device. This is what a broken glass screen protector looks like.
I have one right here.
You have a broken one. Okay.
Just barely.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, she said just barely. I think this is an important thing. Just barely is broken because here's what this means. Once you've chipped that, once you've nicked that, the structural integrity of that glass is gone.
So I need to do
So the next time you drop it, it's going to actually break the next time you drop it. So the next time you drop it, it will actually break. Well, it's much more likely to actually break. And hold on, I forgot something. I stole her phone before the class started.
Yes, you do.
Now, the back of her case is what? It's plastic. Now, you can actually get quite an interesting jump on all this tech, because this is something that you can buy on Amazon for about 8 pounds, about $10. You can put this right here. You can put this right here. And what we've got is we've got a wireless charger on the back. And I can put her down on that mat, and I can charge her. So, I can put her down on here, and I can charge it right there. And in a couple seconds, hers takes a little bit longer because it's not as integrated. The other nice thing, I'll get back to glass screen protectors in a minute. The other nice thing is this will always charge the phone first, and then it'll charge the device second. Now, this is what I used before they made wireless charging cases. I actually took a normal battery case and then attached one of these wireless chargers to the back of it, which was what's really cool.
Is that on the list here?
No, this is not something I would highly recommend. This is
Oh.
just kind of a nerdy thing to show you.
Oh.
You can take, what I did with my old iPhone is I actually wired one of these inside of my phone, which was kind of weird, but it was wired inside of my phone, and I changed the back to a plastic back just for fun. But that's a story for another time. But we're talking about screen protectors. Now here's the thing. If you go to the store and you want to buy a screen protector, even the store that's on the other side of this wall, that's $50 to get a screen protector. Don't waste your money. Trust me, you don't need to. All these glass screen protectors are created equally. Now I'm going to tell you exactly how I broke this one, so you can understand how they work and how they do things like that. Because I break my screen about once every 2 cruises. Not my actual screen on my device, my screen protector. I took my phone and I put it on my bed, and I just laid it on my bed, and then I took my laptop, I threw it on my bed in my cabin. It hit the phone right by the home button and completely shattered. You see how it's spider webbed out? Let me turn on the flash so you can see what's going on here. You see how it's spider webbed out right there? And then when I removed it, it broke right in the middle there as well. Now these are tempered glass, meaning that it's not going to shatter on you or anything like that, but it does come really down to... Here's the loaded question though. So you buy them on Amazon. You can buy a 3-pack of screen protectors for your phones on Amazon for less than $10. Just buy a 3-pack, so you have a 3-pack. How do you get them on without the bubbles? That's the secret. My favorite thing, some of the stores have the machines that put them on without the bubbles and everything like that. It's all a lie. Here's the secret. This is an industry thing that no one wants to tell you, is how you put these on without the bubbles. You do it in the bathroom. And how you do it in the bathroom is very, very cool. You turn the shower on as hot as it can go. And once you've got the shower on as hot as it can go, it's going to fog up the whole bathroom, and all of the dust is going to get trapped to the water particles and fall to the floor. Turn the shower off, put on the screen protector, you're done. You won't get any dust, you won't get any dirt under your screen. That's all you got to do. Just turn the shower on, get all the water there, you're done. You won't find that online. You won't find that. That's how I put on screen protectors. I do it in the bathroom. I am 100% reliable at putting on screen protectors in the bathroom. Sorry, I'm forgetting things, but I forgot to show you one more thing about this Nordimarka 3. It's got a USB port on it, so you can charge your non things. And this is my actual setup I have. I take the one USB port, and it charges my battery packs and my Apple Watch and my Android Watch and everything right there. I bring that out exactly as it is. So screen protectors, glass screen protectors, buy them on Amazon. Do not waste money buying them in the store. You do not need a professional to put them on. You can get a 3-pack on Amazon for less than $10. The second your screen is compromised, your glass screen is compromised. I travel with multiple screen protectors. Unfortunately, mine's for the iPhone 7. It won't fit your iPhone 6s. I have an extra, but it won't fit that screen. Uh-oh. Is yours cracked too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
mine's
about getting
all
the screen
chipped
protector
around the
off?
edges.
Is that difficult to do?
Ah, that's very easy. All you have to do is slide a finger or a credit card underneath and it'll come off. It will break when you take it off though. So be aware, they're not meant to come on and off. It will break when you take it off. But you put it on like that. It's very simple. It's very easy. You buy a 3-pack, you get it done. I have a screen protector. I'm not going to sell you guys any of those screen protectors because you don't need them. I'm telling you, just go on Amazon. You can buy them for $10. Only when people come into electronic stores and they ask for screen protectors do I recommend screen protectors. Now I'll tell you, I even have a screen protector on my iPad Pro. That is a giant piece of glass. That is the entire face of this screen right here. That was a pain to put on. And the bigger the glass, the easier it is to break. So just be aware, a screen protector on this is actually very hard to actually break the screen protector on this one. You've got some chips and some nicks, but it's very hard to break it. On the big ones, you land something in the wrong spot, it's completely gone.
Richard, how does it stick on? Do you just place it on top and it?
How does it stick on? It actually sticks on there. There's an adhesive layer.
Oh,
There's a
there is.
plastic adhesive layer on the back, yeah.
If you buy like a new iPhone, does it come with a screen protector?
No, it comes with a piece of plastic over it that just protects the Touch ID sensor. It doesn't come with the screen protector.
Because I just look, I don't know my granddaughter's, but it seems to be breaking her screens. I mean, I've had phones
But
since they were a brick. I've never broken the
I
screen.
only broke the screen on my phone one time, and it was because I tripped going up the helipad. Someone had spilled some mimosa on the helipad. My phone was in my top pocket for some reason. I don't understand why. And it just went boop, 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 and the screen cracked. But if you have a screen protector on, the odds of your screen breaking are dramatically lower than if you don't have a screen protector on.
There are some places in the mall that advertise putting on screen protectors.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
It's a business. It's a business, and one of the best secrets, what they do, is how they do it in the little machines and stuff like that. And the Tough Guard, Armor Guard, is they put it in a little box that makes some humidity, drops all the stuff, which is basically your bathroom, and it does it no problem. Over the years, I found that's the best way to do it. I am like, people call me, they go, "Hey Rich, I have a screen protector, can you help me put it on?" And I very strangely say, "Come to my cabin and I'll help you do it." And then they're like, "Why can't you do it in your office?" I go, "Well, because we need a shower to do it." They're like, "What?" So it's incredibly inappropriate, but that's the best way to go about doing it. Now, we've talked about cases, we talked about screen protectors, and there's two variables I get asked all the time: when to charge and what to charge with. I think those are the two important variables. When do you charge your device, and what do you charge your device with? Good question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your thoughts? When do you charge your device?
Every night.
Okay.
No, when it's running
when
low.
it's-
Now, but this lady right here, when she came in, I used her as an example. I said, "Hey, do you need a charge?" And she said, "No, not really. I'm at 98%. But here's the cool thing. You can charge your device at any time. There is no damage to the battery, like technology used to damage the battery at different points in time. But here is the idea. On all of these devices, whether it's an iPhone or an Android or whatever, you have 500 charges before you reach your half-life, before it reaches half of its original capacity. So, what constitutes a charge? A charge is going from 0 to 100 once in any capacity. Does that make sense? So, if we're going from 0 to 100 in any capacity, so if we go from 0 to 100, that's one charge. We do that one time. If we go from 80 to 100 5 times, that is also one charge. Here's what I need you to think about. You have, when you get a phone, you have 50,000%. After that 50,000%, your device is going to last for half of the time it normally would. So every time you charge your phone, just think of this mentally. You don't have to actually think about this.
Okay.
You're subtracting 50,000 from the phone. Now, once you hit your half-life, that's the time when the battery is really, it lasts half the amount of time. And the second half-life is half the amount of time of the first half-life. So by 750 charges, you will be at a quarter of your original battery capacity. Does that make sense? So you'll be at a quarter of your original battery capacity.
So that's why people complain about their phones as they get older. Oh,
That's
the
why,
battery-
yes,
the battery-
because
yeah,
there is
the
a
battery
curve
doesn't
going
have
down.
its life lived.
Now, very interesting. I'm just going to mention, I know we have a lot of Apple people, but Samsung, on their new Samsung Galaxy S8, actually says, nobody can prove this yet, says that their phone, after 2 years of usage, will retain 90% of its capacity. Because they invented a brand new battery for this phone that wouldn't explode. This is the truth.
It's a low bar.
It's a low bar, but the thing that you've got to understand is this is actually a very small battery inside of this phone. So they put a huge battery inside of the Note 7, and the Note 7 exploded because they put such a big battery, and they didn't thermally regulate the battery. So this battery has such good thermal regulation that 90%, but here's what I need you to understand, because we're going to talk about numbers in a minute, because I need you to understand some numbers. So we understand we have 50,000 units, and the batteries inside of each of our phones are about 2,000 milliamp hours. That's the unit. They're about 2,000 milliamp hours. I just want you to remember 2,000, okay? 2,000 is a very simple way to understand this, because we're going to go a lot deeper in talking about what to charge with. Do we understand when to charge? You charge whenever you want. There's really no harm. The longer you can keep your phone at 100%, the better. So if you're in the car and you plug it in, you're good.
So you want to keep it as high as possible.
Yes, I had a lady last cruise. She cracked me up. She had a phone, and she said, "I just take my phone and I just put it in the little center console of my Tahoe truck, and it charges." And it was an iPhone, and she said that her iPhone could wirelessly charge without a case through metal in her Chevy Tahoe.
Right.
Yeah, that's That's what I said too. She said she would send me an email with how her phone wirelessly charges. It's been 10, 12 days. I still don't have the email yet. So I don't think it wirelessly charges. But the cool thing is, more and more cars nowadays are getting that wireless charging built in. So wireless charging is going to become very useful very soon, because as soon as Apple does it, you think everybody's going to get along on the train? They are. So Apple, I shouldn't say this out loud, if Apple were to implement wireless charging, do you think that Apple would work with Starbucks and put wireless charging in every single table in Starbucks? Yes, of course they're going to. But this is really interesting, and there's different types of charging and different types of things like that. But when to charge, here's the thing. If you have a battery case, and we had this discussion the other day, you want to deplete the battery case first. So if you have a battery case on it, now I'm not following this mentality today because I forgot to turn on my battery case in the morning. You want to keep the phone at 100% as long as humanly possible. So if you have a because it takes significantly more energy to run and charge a phone than it does to keep the phone at 100%. Does that make sense? So when we went out in St. Petersburg the other night, I brought this guy, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. When we talk about what to charge with, I brought this guy. Remember how I said that your phone has 2,000? This is 20,000. This is 20,000. It loves setting off metal detectors, but we'll get to him in just a minute time. So we all understand when to charge. As often as possible. Whenever you're near an outlet you can charge. Next year, when wireless charging starts becoming a big thing, you're going to see wireless charging all over. Might be even right on the edge. Nothing, I didn't say a word. But it's actually very, very interesting because...
I saw one in Arcadia.
Yeah.
Starbucks. Or it was a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, they already have
They're
it.
all over. Yeah, IKEA makes tables with it built in. So IKEA makes tables with it built in and different things like that. So that's where it's going. Now, here's the important question, though. What to charge with? And that is not an intrinsic question. That's an actual question, is what to charge with. I have some cables here. I have a lot of cables. You remember back in the day, well, back in the day, I mean maybe a year and a half ago or so, if you put in a cable that wasn't approved by Apple, it would say, hey, you can't charge with this cable. Apple's actually backed off from the cables, but cables are not what causes the problem. Every time an iPhone comes out, every time a new Android phone comes out, every time any type of new phone comes out, if it sells in enough volume, at least one of them explodes the first day. Because here's the important thing. People will just grab any power brick they have lying around their house, plug their phone into any power brick they have lying around the house, and they charge it up. The cables are not the problem. The brick is the problem. So what Apple did, and some of the Android companies are starting to do, is they put a chip inside of their cables to identify that the power was good coming from the socket. So the cable was never the problem. It was just telling you the cable was the problem because it couldn't really sense the power. It didn't have the chip inside of it. They shut that off. I really haven't come across a lightning cable that's given me that problem recently. But they make lightning cables. We're talking about what to charge with. This is a 10-foot lightning cable. Here's the important thing, though. Do you think it takes a lot longer to charge with a 10-foot lightning cable? It does. It does, because when you're carrying electricity further distances, unless you increase the electricity, you have a loss over the length. That's why, we got a nerd over there. So, like, I'll give you an example. The decks of this ship are connected via, across the decks are connected via Ethernet cables, but elsewise they're actually connected via fiber. So we connect between the multiple decks with fiber because you can stretch fiber, which is optical cable, as long as you want. But metal cable, you can only stretch it so far, and then guess what happens? It needs more power, it needs more juice like that. When we're talking about what to charge with, you can charge an iPhone with an iPad charger. You can technically charge an iPad with an iPhone charger. You can charge a Samsung phone with an Apple charger. You can charge. Here's the important thing. When you get the charger, I'm going to show you some of my chargers. When you get the charger, you need to look at it. And you need to say, is this a company I've heard of before? Written on this charger. If you want to charge your iPhone and you have a charger sitting around that says JBL, can you charge it with it? Yeah. Why not? You have a charger that says Sony, can you charge it with it? Yeah. Why not? You have a charger that doesn't have a single name on it? You're going to stick your phone in that? Probably not. You can charge it with almost anything. And here's the important thing. Different chargers charge at different speeds. So that little charger that came with your iPhone, whether it's US or UK, it charges the iPhone at 1 amp. So it charges it at 1 amp, or what's called 5 watts. So at 1 amp, to charge the battery inside of this phone would take about 3.5 hours to charge the battery from dead. Now, if I were to use an iPad charger, I can accomplish the same thing, which is 2.1 amps, in about 2 hours. So what you always want to do is when you're looking at a charger, you want to look for a charger that can push the most battery that is from a reliable company that will allow you to charge multiple devices. Now, I have 2 different chargers I want to show you right now, and I've written down the names of them. We're going to talk about Anker battery packs, which is the Power Core. Actually, I have 3 different things. And we're going to talk about something from a company called UBO Labs. I really like. So this is my Anker battery pack. This thing, as I said, inside of your phone, you have 2,000 milliamp hours. This thing right here is 20,000 milliamp hours. It is gigantic. So 2,000 goes on 20,000. How many times can you charge a phone that's 2,000 with this? 20,000. Okay.
Right.
What?
10.
Oh, he got the one thing right, but got the second thing wrong. Simple math doesn't work here. You only get about 70% efficiency on a battery, so you can only charge it about 7 times. So you can only charge it about 7 times. So if you get a battery pack that's 4,000 milliamp hours, you can actually only charge the phone about 1.5 times, to give you an idea. So 20,000 is 20,000, but when you're converting electricity and doing that, so you can charge a 2,000 milliamp hour phone about 7 times, or I can charge this phone from dead about 4 times because it's charging the phone and the battery case on the back of it. But these batteries have gotten so powerful. A lot of people are like, these batteries have gotten so incredibly powerful that not only can I charge a phone, I can actually charge a laptop with these batteries now. Now my laptop is charging off of an external battery. So I've doubled the battery life on my laptop. Now, this laptop uses a new connector which is called USB Type-C, which I'm going to give you some either really good or really bad news. The iPhone is switching to that connector. It's likely that future iPhones and future iPads will have a USB Type-C connector. And a USB Type-C connector is essentially the best of both worlds, and I'll show you why. Now, your Android phone has micro USB on the side of it. Let me go here. So your Android phone has micro USB, which is this guy right here. You see that guy right there? That's micro USB. The problem is micro USB can only be inserted in one direction. It doesn't work in both directions, it only works in one direction. Well, then your iPhones have Lightning. Your iPhones and your iPads have a Lightning connector. The nice thing about Lightning is it can work in either direction. So Lightning can work in either direction. Move there so you can see. But here's the problem. Lightning only works for Apple things. So there's a new standard that's an open standard that Apple did join the consortium called USB Type-C. And here's the really cool thing. This is a single cable right here, and I can use this single cable to charge my Android phone, my battery pack, my Windows phone, my laptop, my smartwatch, pretty much everything except my iPhones and iPads, I can use USB Type-C for. Now the other thing you notice is I've only used one cable here. This is my one cable I have that does all this. So USB Type-C is the future, and what's interesting, there's a really cool website. If you want to write this down, if you're a bit of a nerd, you can take a look at this. It's called Patently Apple. And what they do is they look for patents that Apple has filed with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and the International Patent and Trademark Offices. And what's interesting is Apple has filed a patent for a way to make both Lightning and USB-C work in the same port. So they can keep the Lightning cables and have the USB-C. So that's what you might see, and that's the way that people don't get angry. Now, to answer your question, no, the headphone jack is not coming back. We'll get to that a bit later, because we're going to talk about the headphone jack. But USB-C is really the future of a lot of these cables. So I've shown you the Anker guide, and I showed you these the other day during the other class that we did, but these are from Nomad. Remember the Nomad cables? And these are, they have the 3 different cables all on one end. But this is something I actually found at all places. This is from a company called UBO Labs. I found it, of all places, a Costco. So I found this at a Costco, and it is a battery pack, but it's a very different type of battery pack. So it plugs into the mains. That's electricity for the Americans. So it plugs into the mains. It works US or UK. And it's I unplugged you for a second. It'll be back. And it's got 3 USB ports on the front that are all 2.1 amps. So they're the highest speed you can possibly have. And here's the cool thing. There's a battery right here. So, and it's about $40 in the States. It's the UBO Labs. I wrote it there. It's the only product they have from UBIOLABS. And it's very cool because here's the thing. Some of you have a battery pack, right, that you've used for your device before. The problem is battery packs generally take a long time to charge. This battery pack was dead when I started this class. I had killed it. This battery pack is at about 75% right now. The question is, how? Here's what's really cool about this battery pack. Is you see down here, you've got those 4 little points right there? And in this cradle, you have 4 little points. So it can actually send very high amperage to the battery pack and charge it very quickly. This is the first product from the company UBO Labs, and I think it's a very interesting one for a first product, just to give you an idea. So that's from UBO Labs. I showed you, this is the, now Anker makes smaller battery packs. If you don't want a battery pack big enough to harm a child, this guy is heavy, but what I do is I take this and I take 2 of these cables out. Every time I go outside, inside of my jacket pocket or my vest I'm wearing, I do wear that nerdy vest you saw during the safari thing outside, if you saw me outside. Inside my jacket pocket or during that, I keep this guy and I keep 2 of these cables, and whoever I'm with, I can charge their phone. It makes me very popular. It's like, oh, wait, my phone's dying. And they go looking for a plug. I'm like, I have a charger right here. What? How do you have a charger? I'm like, I have a charger. I always carry a charger with me. I just want to make sure that's plugged in. So just remember, if you have a phone charger with you, that makes you the single most popular person in the room if you happen to be carrying a phone charger. Now, I want to make sure we've understood where we're going up to this point, because now we're going to talk about VPN. Now, this is on the actual device. We're going to talk about this. We've talked about a couple things with VPN, but I want to dig deeper into VPN. Do we all get the first few things we talked about? We're okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, VPN. Anybody know what it is, what it does, what its purpose is? A lot of the UK people might.
Virtual private network.
Virtual private network. And the idea of a VPN was originally, it was designed for corporations. So what you could do is you could restrict people's access to data. What I mean by that is, let's say you've got someone and they're working from home, and you find out that they need to be terminated. Well, you can just cut them off from access to the work, but you have to cut them off from access to your files and things like that. So what a VPN is it's like the internet, but it connects you into your office's network. So one of the very nice things is when I am off the ship, and out in port and stuff like that, I am generally off the ship. My work email does not work off the ship. My work email doesn't work off the ship. Now, if I were to turn on a VPN and VPN into the Eclipse, then guess what? It'll work. But if I want to disappear for a while, yes, people can still find me on Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. But what a VPN was generally designed for was accessing to work. The thing is, now VPN has become very interesting for consumers. I want to show you something I saw in Russia the other day. I want to talk about this. I got to scroll back. Okay. So, this is a random Wi-Fi network that I found in Russia. I'm going to read this because I think it's very, very interesting. So I found this in a Starbucks. I went and tried to connect to Wi-Fi in a Starbucks. And it says, "Dear user," I have to say it in bad Russian because I'm not going back to this. "Dear user, in accordance with current legislation of Russian Federation in field of communications, in provision data services and access to information and telecommunications, internet network, operator is obliged to identify the user and the terminal equipment used. Please enter your mobile number in special field. SMS access code will get sent to phone number, enter it received, and grant access to internet network." You want me to translate that? Government's tracking everything you do in Russia, and they have to keep it for a long period of time. It's true in the US too. They're tracking all your stuff. It's true in the UK too. You know, it's true everywhere. And does it make us safer? I'm not going to go into that. But if you don't want people tracking your information, a VPN is a very good way. Now, we're going to talk about 2 different VPNs. One is for privacy. The privacy, and this will work on phones and tablets and computers. One is designed for privacy and keeping your information private. It is free. Okay? The second one is designed for location faking. That one is a paid one. So we're going to talk about two different VPNs that have two distinctly different purposes. One of the first ones we're going to talk about is something called BetterNet, B-E-T-T-E-R-N-E-T. And I'm going to try and show you something. I'm going to see if I can make this one work. Okay, so there is a website on the ship that for some reason someone in the office has a problem with, and it's actually blocked from accessing that website on Celebrity Wi-Fi. So I'm on Celebrity Wi-Fi right now. If I type that website in, it just goes back to the login page because I'm not allowed to go see that website. A good example of how I use this first app, I happen to be in St. Martin. I was shopping in Bullchan's. You ever been to St. Martin? You go to Bullchan's before? It's the little crappy electronics store in St. Martin. And they block Amazon from their Wi-Fi because they don't want you comparison pricing Amazon. So I opened up this application called BetterNet. Now to use BetterNet, all you need is an internet connection of some sort. When you open it up the first time, there's going to be a big ugly box that says Get Premium on BetterNet. Do not do that. There's a little X that's right up here that will let you get rid of that. But if I go ahead and I hit connect, what you're going to see, it's going to be a little bit delayed on here because you see it's turned blue. You see he's turned blue and it says that he's connected. Now, believe it or not, that website I couldn't go to before. Let me go here. 9gag. I'm not sure what's going to be on here. Maybe there's a reason they blocked it. But that website I couldn't get to before. It's a humor website. I can now get to there. Now VPNs are slower, okay, but they are more secure. One of my favorite things to do, this is my favorite pastime. Any of you ever been to Barbados before? Yes. Yep. You know the terminal in Barbados? There's a terminal in Barbados that offers free Wi-Fi. I'm going to tell you one of my, I'm waiting for 9gag, it's going. There's a terminal in Barbados, there's terminals all over that offer free Wi-Fi. One of my favorite things to do, this is really bad to say, is to go out and steal people's passwords. Just for fun. I don't do anything with it. And do you know what I always get? Yahoo and AOL passwords. Who would have thought? What you've got to realize is when you use public Wi-Fi, you generally want to, I don't know why 9gag's being stupid. You generally want to go ahead and you want to protect yourself when you use public Wi-Fi. What a VPN does is protect yourself. Now, Gmail is perfectly fine. Use it on a public Wi-Fi, you're going to have no problem. Your bank is perfectly fine. But what you've got to realize is some of these fly-by-night companies don't have good security certificates, and they're not sending your information encrypted. So both AOL and Yahoo send your username and password in plain text. And if I just go on Wi-Fi and I sniff for Yahoo accounts, I don't do anything bad with it. But I will always, when we're in Barbados, I will pull up all of the accounts that I compromised, and I will ask someone, I say, is anybody in this room related to this Yahoo account? And I usually get one or two people, and I just go down the list, and it's like, I am not the bad guy here, but I want you to understand those things can be done. 9gag doesn't want to behave with me. I don't know, 9gag might not exist anymore, but that is called BetterNet. This is a free one, and what it's designed for is it's designed for security. It's designed for security. So you just turn it on, it connects to somewhere in the world, it's nice and secure, it's good, it's easy. Now, how do they make money? I guess if it's free, how do they make money? Because I think that's a very important thing to talk about. When companies are free, you really need to wonder how they make money. How they make money is they put ads on the sites you go to that are going through that, and that's how they make money. The next one is a little bit different. There's BetterNet, and then there's TunnelBear. Now, most of you have probably already installed TunnelBear, because that's what I use to get facial recognition working on your device. TunnelBear is also for privacy, but what TunnelBear is really used for is location faking. So it's used for faking your location. So, before we talked about Google Photos, talked about all these things, I like to watch, for the UK people, you'd be very familiar with 4OD, Channel 4 On Demand, the online thing. One of my favorite things to watch is Darren Brown, and I like to watch Darren Brown on 4OD. Well, if I try and watch 4OD from the United States, what does it say?
No.
You need to be in Great Britain to watch this crap. Okay. Or if I try and watch something on an American television channel in the UK, it says, you need to be in the United States to watch this stuff. Or if I try and watch in Canada, there's a show from Canada called CBC Marketplace. That's a fantastic show. I like to watch that. When I try and watch it from the States, it goes, when I try and watch anything from the ship, it goes, So here's what's cool. This TunnelBear application lets you fake that you're anywhere in the world. So I can fake that I'm in the US, I'm in the UK, Canada, Germany, Japan, Australia, France, Italy, Netherlands, Sweden, Switzerland, Ireland, Spain, Singapore, Norway, Denmark, Hong Kong, Brazil, Mexico, or India.
Good if you're having an affair.
What?
Good if you're having an affair.
Good if you're having an affair. Now, you ask you make an interesting statement. So I have a different VPN that I use. I'm not going to tell you about this one, but I want to give you the concept. Another useful concept is when I book airfare, I have a VPN that fakes to different locations around the United States. And I open the airline websites from poor areas, and I get cheaper airline rates. If you go in a VPN out of Detroit, you'll get $150, $200 less on countrywide airfare. Even if you're buying a ticket from Miami to LA, if you open it on a Detroit IP address, it's $100 cheaper. Or, hold on, I'm going to sneeze when I say this, booking cruises. VPNs are very, very useful tools because if you're in the UK, you can't see celebrities' US website, right? So, you can just go US and you turn on the Tunnel Bear, and what it does is it fakes your location. And that's how we did all of the Google Photos. That's how we made it seem like you were in the United States, is by using Tunnel Bear, and we did that, and then once we did that, it put it on your Google account, and that's going to work across your devices now. But if you ever need to do it for someone else, you install Tunnel Bear. Now, Tunnel Bear is free to a point. So it's free, but it only gives you a certain amount of data to go over that free pipe. So you get 500, and you heard the bear just go, that means the bear's connected. So, in the world right now, it says we are off the coast of Africa. That's where our satellite signal's coming from right now, is off the coast of Africa. But you can see I've gone in a tunnel, and guess where, you see where the bear is now? He's in the United States. So the bear's in the US right now. So technically I'm in the US, I can enable facial recognition, I can enable all those things. So Tunnel Bear for free gives you 500 megabytes, which is not much data every month, but I pay $7.99 a month, and I can get it on as many devices as I want. That's how I can just log into your device and do it real quick. So what I've done is, those of you I've set it up on, I've left Tunnel Bear installed, I've just logged out of my account, because I can only have like 30 devices logged in at a time, and I've already got like 25. So I've logged out of my account. So BetterNet and Tunnel Bear are really cool applications. BetterNet, the only place BetterNet doesn't work is on Mac computers. It works on Windows, it works on iPhone, it works on Android. Tunnel Bear works across everything. And I use it all the time because I'm sure if you've watched a YouTube video before, and I said this video is not available in your country, or you've tried to watch something like that, all I do when I'm on the ship, I go up to Tunnel Bear, I say, it's not available, it's only available in the UK. Go Tunnel Bear, UK, on, takes about 5 seconds, refresh the video. Hey yo, I'm in the UK. The answer is, as of right now, this does not work for Netflix. That was your question. Because Netflix has an agreement with the providers to block VPNs. Little, small, regional stuff. Even BBC iPlayer works fine with Tunnel Bear. You can work. You can use.
BBC iPlayer, so I would use.
Yeah, you can use it with BBC iPlayer. The only place it doesn't work well is with Netflix. It won't be a problem for long though, because I don't think Netflix is going to have content that they don't make much longer. I think that Netflix is just going to have their own stuff, and all of Netflix's own stuff has no region locking on it. You can watch House of Cards in Nigeria because Netflix owns it. You're paying Netflix directly. Netflix is giving you the rights to view it. So that's where things start to get really interesting. So does that make sense to most of us? So VPNs are very useful. Now the next thing we're going to talk about will be in slightly different places on Android devices, and we can catch up on this. I want you to just understand the concept we're talking about. I'm going to show you on an iPhone and iPad because that's what most of us have. But on your phones, you may have a low power mode. Yes?
Yes.
Do you know the purpose of a low power mode? So we're going to click on Settings, and we're going to scroll down. Now you'll have it on your phone. You should be able to find it somewhere. In iPhones, it's in Settings and then Battery. And then there's something called low power mode. Now I'm going to read you what it says exactly, and then I'm going to translate what it says into English.
Thank you.
Low power mode temporarily reduces the power consumption until you can fully charge your phone. That makes sense, right? Yeah. Okay. When it's on, mail fetch, hey Sudi. Now, the reason I said that is I didn't want everybody's devices activating right now. So that's that. Hey Sudi. Background app refresh, automatic downloads, and some visual effects are reduced or turned off. Go ahead and turn on low power mode if you see it. And then you'll be like, well, nothing's changed. But your battery is now yellow. It may not be on, try it on your phone. It may not be on the iPads. Your battery is now yellow. Now, on these phones, on the newer Samsung phones, something different happens that's very, very interesting. The screen on this Samsung phone is actually significantly higher quality than the screen on the iPhone. Believe it or not, you see this tiny phone right here? This tiny phone in my hands has more points of information than this entire TV screen does, doubled. This is a higher quality, like little dots. It's got more little dots than the entire TV screen does. So what's cool though, when you put this in low power mode, it reduces the quality of the screen. The iPhone doesn't do that, but I'm just trying to give you the concept, is it reduces the quality of the screen when you put it in low power mode. But let's translate that a little bit more. And low power mode is not going to work while I'm charging. But just to translate it a bit more, I've turned on low power mode. And what that's going to do is it turns off, now, does everybody have low power mode on? It turns off Hey Siri. Yeah, see, it didn't do anything because it's all off. So now I can safely say Hey Siri. So it turns off Hey Siri. Here's the thing, mail fetch. Let's talk about what that is. Most of you have your mail set to fetch, meaning every 15 minutes it goes and it pulls the email. Hopefully by the time you all leave the ship, you're going to have your mail set up in the Gmail account, and you're not going to have to worry about mail fetch. It's going to push to you the important emails. Now, that's the difference. Is Yahoo and AOL generally, they fetch. So every 15 minutes, so they fetch. Gmail pushes the email to you, but it doesn't push the email to you in the Blue Mail app. You have to set up the Gmail app, but we'll get there. So it turns off a lot of things. What it does is it makes your phone work like an older phone. Here's the interesting thing. For the first time ever with the iPhone 7 Plus, Apple made the battery in the phone larger. For many years, they always put smaller batteries. But it actually has a larger battery than the 6 Plus. Do you know why? Well, because there's more room in there because there's no headphone jack. So they put a larger battery inside of there. A headphone jack doesn't bother me. But when we turn on low power mode, it's going to make your phone last quite a bit longer, which is a cool thing. You don't want to leave it on all the time, though. When you get down to 20%, last night, about 2 times a year, I actually kill the battery on my phone. I got really close last night. I got to 6% last night, which was like, oh my, I got to 6%. And fortunately, I didn't kill it. But I never kill it, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we can take off low power mode now. But if I ever ask you to turn on low power mode, you can turn on low power mode. It ekes a little bit of extra battery out of your device. Now, another thing low power mode does is it adjusts your screen brightness for you.
Right.
What is the right brightness to keep your screen at? The answer is automatic. So you should see something that says display and brightness in your settings, and you'll see auto brightness. It's on the Android phones as well, and you want to keep on auto brightness. Now, if I turn the brightness down all the way, which is what I'm going to do here, obviously you can't see anything. So you notice that it's actually changing the brightness on its own, though. Now, you see this light right here? This is the sun. As I go outside towards the sun, watch the screen. It automatically adjusts up the brightness. So I'm not, I wasn't on the light. I was like, why isn't that working? Now here's the thing. You can only manually push the brightness to 10. Like 10. But what's cool is, it's actually now at 11. It's at 11 because it will get even brighter when it's out in the sun than you can manually turn it to. Now the sensor that gets it's on the front of the device, so you'd have to, it's not on the back. No, I'm saying, I'm showing you the sensor that gets it's under the camera. You're not going to be able to get it unless you get right up there. But that's the concept there. So what you want to leave it on is auto brightness, and you see it's going down now? Because I realize this is not as bright. And it'll actually do a good job. Now, I am a very bad person in the fact that my laptop dies so quickly because I always keep the brightness up all the way on my laptop, but on my phone, I leave it on auto brightness. But underneath auto brightness, you should see something that says auto lock if you're on an iPhone or an iPad. You see that? What do they say? How long? 1 minute? Anybody got longer than that?
3 minutes.
3 is a little long. Now, how's your battery life on your phone? Kind of Or it's okay? It's okay? Change it to 2. I think you'll get better battery life. What that means is if your phone was sitting right like this on the table, it would turn off after 1 minute. 2 minutes is generally the highest you want to put it at. Now, what do I have mine set to?
Never.
Because when I'm teaching a class or something, I don't want it going off I want full control over my device. Android devices are very interesting though. The Android devices actually have something called Stay Awake. The Samsung devices, not all the Android devices. And they, just to give you the concept so you can understand, they're using the front camera to watch your eyes. And it won't turn the screen off while you're looking at the phone. It's called Smart Stay. That's why I use iPhone and why I use Android. This phone right here, this Microsoft phone, will actually lock and unlock with my eyeballs. People think that's crazy, but so you see it's locked, and it says looking for you, and I go like that, making sure it's you. Hello, Richard. Done. Didn't put in a pin, didn't put in a fingerprint. What?
That's a Windows phone.
I know it's a Windows phone. Who would have thought they actually exist and someone actually bought one? Yeah. It's a Windows phone. I have one just because here's my feeling. Why I have a Samsung Galaxy 8, why I have a Windows phone is you have no right to judge a product unless you use it yourself.
Okay.
So I use all of these products just so I can see what's going on. I have one more phone. I have the Google Pixel, which I'm going to bring in our last Google class that we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about there. So screen brightness, low power mode, sleep versus shutdown. Let's talk about that for a second. How often do you sleep your device? How often do you shut down your device?
I shut down it every time it doesn't
Sleep is
work.
automatic.
Sleep's automatic.
That's it.
Do any of you ever shut your device off completely?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
To
Saves
reboot
battery.
it.
To save battery. One of my favorite things is, yes, you can charge a phone quicker when it's off,
Yes.
but there's a certain variable that needs to be in place. You have to plug it in and then turn it off. If you turn it off and then plug it in, guess what happens?
Comes on.
It comes on. So you need to plug it in and turn it off. Sometimes, you notice that Apple sends software updates about every month or so?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why they send software updates a lot of the time?
No.
To force people to reboot their phone. That's the real answer. You know, you got to force people to reboot your phone. That's why they send the software updates a lot of the time. The bug fix ones that you see. But you should always do those software updates. The thing is, it takes a lot more energy to turn the phone completely off and turn it back on than to just leave it asleep. I think that's the important variable to understand. Now, so sleep versus shutdown. I'm going to skip Bluetooth W1. We're going to go to that. I actually put it in the wrong spot, so we're going to go to that after clearing RAM. So then I guess how often to reboot? About once a month or so, you should shut the device and turn it off. Now here is something that is a very big point of contention in the world. And some of you are going to get real angry with me at this, okay? I see no reason to do what I'm about to do that I see some of you do all the time. Close the app, close the app, close the, well, I want to do it two at a time.
Oh.
Close the app, close the app, close the app. That's actually going to have a negative effect on your phone, not a positive effect on your phone.
I thought it used up battery.
I thought it.
No, it does not. So the apps can only do things in the background for 10 minutes. If your Google Photos is being stubborn and not getting things uploaded, I'm just trying to give you the concept. What I always recommend is if you can for a night or two, leave your phone on charge, leave Google Photos open, set it to lock never. It will back up a lot quicker with Google Photos in the foreground with the screen open. So when I have a couple hundred pictures to back up, I actually just take my phone, I open up Google Photos, I set it to never, I leave it on the wireless charger, and you see I have these pictures to back up, which I did not show this picture today. This is one of the funniest pictures I've ever seen. No, I'll keep it for another day. It's good. No, I'll show you, but I'm gonna use it in Celebrity Central. Okay.
Okay.
So.
Does it not eat up your data though?
No, we'll get into how it doesn't eat up your data because it absolutely can't do that in the background. But okay, so we were looking for a sale. We were looking for a poster for Cruise Sale last night. Me and the desktop publisher were looking for a poster for Cruise Sale last night. And she comes across this thing on her computer, and I was like, I need to use my apps class today, but I didn't find it. This is a new feature they're building for the Celebrity Edge. It's the wheelchair workshop.
Yeah. Don't be like that.
Discover and learn today about the innovations and revolutionary designs that our onboard engineers can offer. Don't be like the rest. Okay, sorry. That was a little sidetrack. But we were talking about, if you don't do this, okay, am I eating data? Am I doing all that? Here's the thing to understand. I have the Gmail app, and the Gmail app is right here where it says updates, right? If I were to go out and go back into that Gmail app, it's in the same spot, right? If I were to quit out of that Gmail app and go back to it, though, then you see how long it takes to load and get back to there? It actually takes more energy to reload the app than to leave it running in the background. here's what's interesting. On paper, Android phones, this phone, the Samsung Galaxy S8, has double the processing power of the iPhone 7 Plus. But in real world use, do you know what kicks the Samsung Galaxy 8's butt? The iPhone wins every single time because the iPhone properly backgrounds apps. The only time you should ever do this is if an app is being stupid. I will tell you on all of your devices that I've set up for Google Photos so far, I have done this because I needed to turn on TunnelBear, then quit Google Photos completely, and then go back into Google Photos to get it from scratch. But generally, there's no benefit to doing that. But how do you clean up your phone? How do you make it run faster? This is the way to do it. It's called clearing your RAM.
Clearing
So-
your what?
Clearing your RAM. Now, on Android, let me see your phone for 2 seconds. I'm going to show you how to do it. No, just turn on the screen. On Android, how you do it is with this button. This button. Actually, you don't have any apps open, do you?
Well, I just closed them all.
Oh, okay, then that's fine. You just close the app, says you know how to do it. But this is the way to make anybody's iPhone faster. I need you to be on the app screen, where all your apps are. So not the lock screen, but the app screen here. Okay, and we're going to hold down the power button on the side of the top of the device until you get the slide to power off thing. Do not power it off. Just get to this point right here. And then what we're going to do is we're then going to hold down the home button, the one on the front, for about 8 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's going to bounce back to the main screen. And you're going to notice your device runs faster. Now, Siri.
Tell us do that one more time.
I'll show you.
Siri's problem.
The reason you got Siri is you needed to be on your app screen. You couldn't be on your lock screen. Okay. So, you need to be on the app screen.
Yes,
and
I'm
then
there.
trigger it from here. And then 8 second you that guy. Now so what we do is we're on the app screen. If we're on the lock screen, we're just going to get Siri. But we're on the app screen, we turn it off, and then we hold down the button. Now I only learned this last summer.
So,
By the way, mine,
was that the first time it power off?
No, you just do the closing of apps like you did.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do is the closing of apps. That clears the RAM on Android.
All right.
It doesn't clear the RAM on iPhone. That doesn't clear the RAM on iPhone. Closing all those apps doesn't clear the RAM on iPhone.
But this does.
That does clear
Just
the
show
RAM.
that.
Yeah? Does that make sense to us all?
You mean rather than just do that?
Rather than do that, it's much quicker and much more efficient to your battery to do that.
That shuts the apps down.
so what do we do?
What? She's got it? I mean, here's the thing. You remember the apps class I did? Here's all the apps from the apps class. There's Maps.me, there's Car Finder, PhotoMath, Converter Plus, Duolingo, RunP, Translate, Pinterest, Not Hot Dog, 1600, and Ink Hunter. That's my entire apps class still running in the background. So it's okay. Just trust it. It's okay. Let's talk about W1. Have any of you ever heard of W1 before? So, when Apple announced the iPhone 7, they also announced W1. And I think the question is, what is W1? W1 is the reason that the iPhone could ship without a headphone jack. Now, Apple always does things first. Now, if I was to think back about 3 or 4 years, I heard all the moaning and all the complaining from everyone, the computers don't have CD drives in them anymore. Correct? And you know what? Now, you generally can't buy a computer with a CD drive. You've got to buy an external CD drive if you want to buy a computer nowadays. Now I'm hearing, the iPhones don't have headphone jacks anymore. I'm one of the few people in the world that said, thank God, it's about time. Because I've used Bluetooth headphones for years. I've used Bluetooth headphones going back so many years. And I have a pair of Bluetooth headphones, my really cool pair of Bluetooth headphones, that is just kind of like, These are bone conduction headphones. So they actually vibrate your skull. But have you ever hooked up Bluetooth in a car or Bluetooth before? You hooked it up. Now these headphones that I'm going to show you will work with Android devices as well, but not as easy as they work with Apple devices. Now if you want to hook up Bluetooth, these are all the different Bluetooth devices I have. I don't think I have enough. But if I go in, I want to show you how it works, is I go into Bluetooth, I take this device, I turn it on, I get into a pairing mode. Let's go pairing mode. Come on. Okay, then I gotta go find it, then I gotta click it, then I gotta do the pairing, then I gotta do this, then I gotta do that, and it's paired. It's just not showing up on the screen anymore because I'm not showing it on the screen anymore. Let me see if I can put it back up. But then I have these connected. That's a lot of work to hook up a pair of Bluetooth headphones. That's why people didn't like Bluetooth headphones in the past. Now, Apple created something called the W1 chip. Now, this is the thing that everybody goes, Rich, where do I buy these? I got very lucky. I walked into an Apple store the day these came out. They had 20 of them. They're still, these are still hard to get. These are called AirPods. And they are like the EarPods, you know, the ones that come with the iPhones, but they are the first truly wireless headphones. So if I pop this guy right here,
Oh, that
Yeah,
one's on.
there's
I've
this
seen
little-
them.
so I go like this, but here's what's cool. Instead of going to the Bluetooth menu, instead of doing this, instead of doing that, all I have to do is open the case, put it right next to it. Come on, don't shame me. And it says, boom, there's my AirPods. That's me, Fat Double Lard, it's okay. There's my AirPods, and the AirPods are charged to 100%, and the case is charged to 40%. So the case actually has a battery inside of it, charges via lightning cable. These will work with an Android device or anything like that, but the cool thing is the pairing process, and then I take out the AirPods, put them in like that. Do they fall out of my ears?
Yes. No?
I didn't get it in well enough. Hold on. Let's try. I kind of forced that. Okay. They don't fall in my ears. But here's the thing. The problem is, okay, you got the earphones in. What do you do with the case? I love the concept of them. Now I have, there's a couple of W1 items. I'm going to show you a couple of different W1 items. Now those are called the EarPods. Now another one, yeah, AirPods, not AirPods, AirPods. I said it wrong. But they all use the W1 chip, meaning they all connect very easily. Now these are called the Power Beats 3. Same basic concept. I hold it down next to any Apple device. Now not only when I connect it to a device, yeah. What is that? Okay. So I hold it next to any Apple device and it pairs to that device. The cool thing is it would pair to your device, it pairs to your device, it pairs to any device. But when it pairs to the device, it pairs to your iCloud account, and all of your devices on your iCloud account will automatically pair. The other benefit of the W1 is you get incredible battery life. You get really good battery life. Now, to give you an example, these last for 12 hours. These last for 24 hours, but how they last is each headphone lasts for 5 hours, and the case will recharge them 5 times each, and you just recharge the case via lightning. But this is a pair of wireless headphones that use the W1, 40 hours of battery life.
What are they called?
These are the Beats 3. Now, Beats is now owned by Apple. 40 hours of battery life. I'm showing you 3 headphones that I'm not going to recommend. I'm going to show you one I am, because there's one that's the best. There's one that's the best in my opinion. It's the one I actually use every day. I have a lot of these. They hang from the ceiling in my cabin on magnetic hooks. But you see I have the Beats Solo 3. But this is the one that I really like to use, and I think is a really good deal. These are called the Beats X. Now again, these will work with Android, but you just pair them like a normal pair of headphones. These are called the Beats X. They go around your neck, so when you're not wearing them, when you're not using them, they just kind of store there. They charge via lightning cables, so they charge via your phone, the cable your phone already has. They have different interchangeable tips, but they're magnetic, so they just kind of go there. And when you're done, you take them, you put them like that, like a necklace. And you can get them in different colors, they blend in and everything. These are called the Beats X, but here's, I'll tell you what's really cool about them. So you can just hit connect. I'm not going to do it because it's going to take me off the screen.
Yeah.
Here's the cool factor about them. They come with a free $30 iTunes gift card as well. It's supposed to be for 3 free months of Apple Music, but you can use it for Tunnel Bear. You can use it for whatever you want. What I actually bought is I bought 4 pairs of those. I bought it for my mom, myself, my 2 sisters. And I got $120 in iTunes gift cards, and I paid for Netflix for a year. So that worked for me.
Will that connect like to Pandora or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it connects to anything wirelessly that's on your phone, and it makes, that's why I wasn't sad when the headphone jack went away, because I've been using the Bluetooth ones forever, but they made it a lot easier with the W1 chip. Just realize that those will also work on all the different devices as well. So I want to talk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cherry pickish from here. I want to finish, we've got about 20 minutes left. I'm not going to not cover it. I'm going to move it to the next class. I always rewrite these before every class, and I talk too much, it's fine. So I want to talk about managing storage and location services. And then we'll talk about the fingerprint scanner, and then we'll talk about the other stuff the next time we meet. But someone came up to me today after my class in Celebrity Central, and this is a question that some of you may have as well. They go, well, some of my pictures have locations on them, and some of my pictures don't have locations on them. And why that is because the first time you opened the camera, it said, hey, do you want to let the camera access your location? And you might have said okay, or you might have said no, or you might have said different things like that. And it's going to make your Google Photos work a lot worse if you don't have location. So I want to make sure we all have those settings correct. If we go now, the trouble is, even though I have a Samsung phone here, it's in a different place in every Samsung phone. Now on the iPhones, why I like the iPhones is it's very easy to teach an iPhone. I personally, I'll tell you dirty secret. If I had to get stuck with one type of phone on a deserted island forever, I would choose the Android phone. Don't ask why. But for me, for a nerd, it's good. But we're going to go into settings, and then we're going to go into where it says privacy. So main settings and then privacy.
Is this in Google
Uh,
Photos?
No, it's not in Google Photos.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was talking theories. Yours might be in the camera. Might be in the camera.
Yep.
So we're going to go to settings, privacy, and then location services. And it's going to show you which apps have the rights to access your location. I want you to scroll down to camera and make sure it says while using.
Mine says never.
Yours says never. Guess what you're going to get as locations in your Google Photos? Nothing. So I want you to change it from never. Now, I never thought to even check this until a few weeks ago. Yeah.
GPS location.
Yeah, you're good. GPS location's on, you're good.
While using
Mine
it.
just has like that.
So we switched it on the other day. So I realized it.
Location services
Camera.
first, then camera.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so here's the question. A couple of you had never, correct?
I didn't say anything.
Just while using the app, right?
You might be one step off.
While using the app.
Okay, no, it's location services and then camera. So it doesn't say anything here but location services and then camera.
Privacy.
Location services.
Yeah, well,
Okay, so I think 5 or 6 of us just discovered that we don't have any locations on our pictures because we.
I've got never.
Aha! You don't always have many options. You have either never or always or different things like that. That is very interesting, and that's what we're going to talk about because I'm going to show you one that's a very interesting one. It is called Uber, also known as how I got around in Russia. These are the settings for Uber. We all have different apps, but I think if we can talk about one that I think is an interesting one, let's talk about Uber. Uber has 2 choices. Can Uber track your location? Never or always?
Yes.
If you say never, does Uber work?
No, of course it's not.
Can't work.
If you say, now here's the thing, it doesn't have while using the app, and this is where things get very interesting. Because if you remember I told you that apps can continue doing things at full power in the background for 10 minutes.
Right.
So what Uber started doing is they started tracking where you went for 10 minutes after you left your Uber. This is fair, because they were trying to figure out if people were cheating the system. Because if you go to certain places, it costs less than going to other places where you get picked up. So I'll give you an example. We're not talking a lot of money. We're talking $1 difference. But when I rode back from St. Petersburg, if I stopped right outside the port, it was $1 cheaper than if I went 200 feet and went back into the port, to give you a concept. So they are actually tracking to see user behavior. So the option is either never or always. So you won't always have all those. So what you want to do is when you get a chance, take a look. Now you'll notice Uber Eats, which is a company that just delivers food to you, which is run by Uber, says never and while using the app. Some apps, if you say never, guess when it works? It never the app won't work, so you need location.
So you need that on the App Store too?
No, it comes, the App Store needs to know your location, yeah.
What about Google Photos? Because I've got
Does
one
see mine?
using on my camera. And if I've got
Oh.
Google Photos,
Google Photos doesn't even show there, I don't think. Oh, no, I don't think.
doesn't work.
Google Photos, you see it there?
Yes.
I don't have it.
I've got never on Google Photos.
I would choose while using, if you can. I would choose
Never
while.
or always.
Yes, well,
Always,
Google
that's fine.
first And then go click that.
They're already tracking your location, that's
And
fine.
then it should give
Hey
you
yo,
the-
they're already tracking your location.
For this,
So,
Scroll down.
what we're
do
gonna
it anyway.
What we're going to talk about, let me see, I'm just circling myself. Let's talk, let me see what we got. Okay, we have 15 minutes. I'm going to show you, I'm going to skip we're going to talk about storage. You know what, let's talk about
Does that
storage.
mean- Oh, okay.
We're going to take 15 minutes, we're going to talk about storage, and then what we're going to do is, you see where it says, what's the name of your device, how many apps on your device, how much free space you need, internal versus external storage, serial number, that kind of stuff?
Yes,
We're going to move that whole block to the next class.
okay.
Because it's going to be related to this guy, which I've teased a couple of times. Now, I'm going to show this guy in Celebrity Central at 1 o'clock on that day, which this is the wireless flash drive, but we're going to dig a lot deeper inside the wireless flash drive. What we're going to talk about today is managing, what I want to finish with today is managing storage on the device, as well as some fingerprint stuff, and then we'll be okay to go. So let's talk about managing storage on the device. So here's the question. Ooh, lost connection with Mevo.
Where do you go to?
To manage storage on the device, well, there's a couple different places you can go to,
From Sam?
but let me go ahead and we're going to go into settings,
Going to
and
Sam?
we're going to go into general. Now you should just have something called storage.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's what I meant.
We're going to go to settings, general, and then we're going to go to where it says storage and iCloud usage.
Okay.
And there's something that says manage storage.
Got it.
Now, I am hoping that for most of you, the number one thing on your storage is photos.
Mine
No?
is lovely. Yeah.
Because we've generally solved that problem already. Settings, general,
Storage down here.
storage and iCloud
Go
usage,
back.
manage storage. So you see that I have 53 gigs of photos on my phone.
I don't have,
What do you got? Yeah?
well, no, I clear out my photos
Okay.
all the time.
So hers is
I upload them.
Spotify. Where do you upload them to?
I-
Google Photos?
Google Photos.
Okay. Hey,
I always leave them in Google Photos.
you always leave them in Google Photos, even
Yeah,
before you
'cause I
came
haven't
here?
got any
Or
storage on this
before you
phone.
came here, or just
Yeah,
started?
yeah,
Oh, okay,
before
so
I
she's
came.
used Google
But I
Photos.
haven't got any storage on my phone. I had
Yeah.
to find something else, and the iCloud was crap.
The iCloud is crap. We can very clear. What are you
It's
apologizing
really
for?
bad. I
Excuse
couldn't
me. What are
find
you
it.
apologizing for? Who taught a whole hour and a half long class on what to use other than the iCloud? Trust me, you don't have to apologize to me to the point that the iCloud's crap. Okay, I agree. But if we go into storage, what's the thing taking up most of our storage? Photos. As weird as it sounds, this is not something I would ever recommend to somebody, but technically, if you use Google Photos and you're connected to the internet a reliably reasonable amount of time, you can get away with a 32 gig iPad or a 32 gig iPhone now. I'm not saying, because the interesting thing is, you know how they're all talking about this iPhone 8 and different things like that, the new iPhones come out. I'm going to tell you, there's not going to be one, there's not going to be two, there's going to be 3 different iPhones this year. You're going to have the iPhone 7S, the iPhone 7S Plus, and the iPhone Edition. I'm telling you this before you even know it. And guess what the storage capacity is going to be on the iPhone Edition? 256 gigs.
Wow.
That's it. No other discussion. That's going to be the size of it on the iPhone Edition. So, well, I have a 256 gig on my iPhone now, but the thing is, I only have 86 gigs free on my iPhone. As we're talking right now, I only have 86 gigs free on my iPhone. What? You have one?
Yeah. It's sort of
Congratulations. Now, the last thing I want to talk about today, and then we'll take any questions, and we will talk about all the storage stuff when we meet to talk about apps, because we're going to talk about one of the things I love is how to effectively manage, and I have some Android fun stuff too, but I'm going to talk about how to effectively manage manage videos and photos on your device without iCloud. Which is what's really cool, is how to actually deal with these things and manage them without iCloud. But let me see if this guy wants to behave, because I wanted to show you the last thing we're going to talk about. Do most of us have a fingerprint scanner of some sort on our device? No. You have one on there? You never got one on there? Ah. So you put in a pin every time you go on.
I don't use mine.
You just, okay, let's this gentleman right here says he just leaves his phone on. / open /
Not good.
/ not good, yes. So I'm going to put this up on the screen, and we're going to talk about it. So on / open / not good, let's just say settings. I'm saving this. So I want to talk about the fingerprint reader. Now, one of the things that happen is people come into me all the time and they say, is my device too old? Do I need to get a new phone? Do I need to get a new tablet? Do I need to get all of these different things like that? And the answer last year, what I mean by last year was with iOS 9, I'm talking about last year, the answer last year was if you did not have the lightning connector, I think everyone in this room has the lightning connector, if you didn't have it, except for the Android, if you didn't have the lightning connector, then yes, it's too old. But if you do have the lightning connector, then you're okay. Now the answer is if you don't have the fingerprint sensor, it's time to replace it because you don't put a code on your phone, correct?
I did have one on it, but I found that.
Congratulations, I now have all this information.
I know, yeah.
All I need is a charging cable. He's got a standard one, and no problem. Here's the thing: The code, the fingerprint was because people weren't securing their phones with a code. It becomes too much of a pain to do that. Now, there are all kinds of different ways of recognition. As I showed you, this phone
Yeah, I love that.
does iris recognition.
That'd be nice.
Well, you might see it a lot sooner than you think.
I have
It has iris recognition because if you look at this phone, I'm going to show you one of the worst designed things on a phone I've ever seen in my entire life. Do you want to know where the fingerprint sensor is on this phone? It's up in the back by the camera. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And why that is because Samsung, I'll tell you the story behind this, Samsung needed to release a phone. Samsung was dying after the Note 7 got recalled. So they were figuring out a way to put a fingerprint sensor under the screen. Because what's cool is, go ahead and press right here. You feel like there's a button there. But that's a solid glass screen. They were trying to put a fingerprint sensor under the screen. They couldn't succeed. So they just put a fingerprint sensor on the back. But I don't need the fingerprint on my Samsung phone because my Samsung phone is tied to my watch. So whenever I'm wearing my watch, no, I'm just trying to give you a concept. If you've got a smartwatch of some sort, you can put a code on there, and whenever your watch is in distance of there, it unlocks it, no problem. That's why I wear that watch. But Apple has a fingerprint sensor they put on there. The interesting thing about a lot of Apple tech, Siri, I don't know how many of you know, Siri didn't come from Apple. They bought it. It was an app. It was a dumb app called Siri. The cool thing is a lot of the apps I used to show Siri. I show a lot of weird stuff that you're going to see that Apple's going to buy really soon, personally. In my opinion, I think Apple's going to buy GoPro. A lot of people think this is crazy. I think Apple's going to buy Disney within the next 5 years. Disney. Not Disney World, Disney. I think Google will pick up Netflix and Apple will pick up Disney, but that's another story for another day. But what's cool is the fingerprint sensor actually came from an Israeli company called Authentec. And I think what's really cool is the fingerprint sensor on the Apple devices does not actually use your fingerprint. It uses your fingerprint to solve a mathematical equation, but it's not saving your actual fingerprint. Now, those of you that have the fingerprint sensor, have we all set it up, or does someone have it that hasn't set it up yet?
I had it and I took it off.
You had it and you took it off because it didn't work reliably, right?
No, it didn't.
Aha! That's... please don't groan with what I'm about to say, okay? Don't groan with what I'm about to say. I'm just going to say it out loud, and you're all going to go, That's because you're old. Sorry, let me... Let me explain. Why I say that is because older people, the ridges in their fingers variate throughout the day based on their hydration level. The skin's not as tight, so it doesn't work properly.
Is that why when you tap it up, sometimes it doesn't come on there?
No. This is to do with the fingerprint. Here's what's very interesting. So, what you do, how you make the fingerprint reader work, is you add the same finger multiple times. So if you go into the fingerprint reader, I'm not going to have you do it live, but I'll show you is I can add the same finger. Now that finger.
Different times of the day.
Yes. So you see that it's going to highlight a finger. Let me see if I can get it to. So at some points that will be finger 4. At some points it will be finger 1.
And you just went into settings.
I just went into settings. I hit add a fingerprint. I add the same fingerprint a second time at a different time of the day. And if I have the same fingerprint a second time, different time of the day, it actually improves the accuracy dramatically.
I use a summer and winter because
Yeah.
the hand's different.
Really? Oh, okay.
And can
So
you
use a summer and a winter. Now,
You do it, and plus the passcode as well.
the passcode is also there. But the cool thing is, your fingerprint sensor can do a lot of different things. It can unlock the iPhone. I had a lady, I can't believe, so the iPhone unlock one is a standard one. Both me and my assistant dealt with someone for about an hour last cruise who said our fingerprint sensor is not working on our iPhone, and it just wouldn't let him in. And why it wasn't working is because the iPhone unlock wasn't checked. But you can use your fingerprint to unlock your iPhone. You can use it for Apple Pay, and you can use it for the App Store. So you can use it, you notice when it asks you to get an app, it asks for your fingerprint. So it has the ability to do all of those different things right with the fingerprint, to give you the concept there. Now let's talk for another couple seconds about the fingerprint scanner, and then we'll be going. Remember when we talked about turning your phone off? You notice that when you turn your device off, it does not allow the fingerprint to work. Or if you don't use your device for a certain amount of time, it says, hey, you need to put in your code, we won't allow the fingerprint to work. That's because Apple cares about your privacy probably more than any other company. Let's be completely honest. Google does not care about your privacy in any way, shape, or form. Facebook does not care about your privacy in any way, shape, or form. Apple makes it so after 48 hours, if you don't touch the device, you have to put in your code, because here's the thing. In the United States, they can force you to put your finger on a phone and open it up. But they cannot force you to give your code out to get into the phone. And there was a high battled court case when iOS 9 was around that a judge forced someone to put their finger on their phone and unlock it. So Apple makes it in the amount of time, it will take more than 48 hours to get a subpoena. It requires a code after 48 hours, which impeaches your freedom of speech or your Fifth Amendment rights, incrimination, self-incrimination. So can it get you from self-incrimination? So what I do, whenever I go through Border Patrol, whenever I went through Russia, Border Patrol, or anywhere like that, I take my phone and I turn it completely off. Because when it turns back on, you need the code to get in, not the fingerprint. It sounds stupid, it sounds strange, but it's very, very interesting that I can do it and I need the code instead of the fingerprint to actually get in. So, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about apps the next time we get together. Now, we're not talking about apps like we talked about in the apps class today. We're going to be talking about apps on a much higher level. I'm going to give you an example of some stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some RSS feed readers, which you'll understand what those are. They're ways to read news and different stuff like that. We're going to talk about this wireless flash drive a lot more in depth than we talk about in the 1 o'clock class. So in the 1 o'clock class, we're going to talk about it briefly, but I'm going to show you how you can move. Let's say you don't have Google Photos, you don't have access to internet. You can actually make a backup on this guy. It connects wirelessly to your iPhone or your iPad. I'll show you that. I'm going to show you how to get stuff on and off your device without iTunes. Videos and other content like that without iTunes. Here's the honest truth. Now, I use Android, but I'm saying for a normal, non-techie person, I know we have two Android people, for a normal non-techie person, an iPhone's probably the safer bet overall, but I'm going to show you some different apps. I'm going to show you an app that tells you exactly when it's going to rain or snow or precipitate, exactly where you are.
Yeah.
So, and it's accurate to the minute. It's accurate to the minute. It's going to tell you it's going to rain in 1 minute and stop 3 minutes later, and it's incredible. I used it in, we were in Belfast a few cruises ago, and I used it in Belfast. It was phenomenal. It was like,
It will tell you how long it's going to last, the rain.
yes, but it only tells you for the next hour. It says it's going to rain for 5 minutes, stop for 5 minutes, rain for 5 minutes, stop for 6 minutes, rain for 5 minutes, stop for 2 minutes. It's amazing. It's called Dark Sky, but we'll look at that another day. So we're going to be talking about advanced apps. The only apps we're going to avoid in the advanced apps class are Google apps, because we're going to talk about Google apps on the last day. And what's really cool is we're going to focus on, because the right mix, in my personal opinion, and I've said this a couple of times, is an Apple device running Google services. That's my feeling. That's what I'm very happy with. It's an Apple device running Google services. And the nice thing is, if you've been to the iLaunch classes before, have you been to them on other ships before? They focus on Apple. I actually focus on things that I think almost everyone can use, unless you have a BlackBerry, because then you're just a joke. But don't worry, people have it for work and stuff like that. So we have 2 days in port. If any of you are going, I'll give you some, where are we going? We're going to Warnemünde tomorrow. I highly recommend, if you're not going to Berlin, who's not going to Berlin? If you're not going to Berlin, walk out in Warnemünde, go right to the seashore. There's a place that has excellent shawarma right there. There's the Choo Choo bar that's got currywurst and everything like that. I'm going out for both breakfast, all three, breakfast, lunch, and dinner tomorrow night. Or early dinner tomorrow. And in Copenhagen, you must go to Tivoli Gardens. If you've never been, you must go. I'm going to Tivoli, and you must ride the That's the name. That's the name of the 117-year-old roller coaster. It's been running for 117 years, and there's someone on the roller coaster that actually breaks the car when you're going up and down the curves. It is amazing. I love Tivoli Gardens. I'm so excited. I'm going to be there for my birthday. I will see you back again. I'm going to warn you. The thing is, when you come back for the next class, you're going to see not Rolando here. It's okay. My new assistant's name is Wandy. He looks very different from Rolando. He's from Haiti. Rolando's from Nicaragua. But I know Wandy. The thing I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make this very clear. Wandy does not know Google Photos yet. The main reason I'm doing the Google Photos class at 10:30 a.m. on the C-Day 4 is to teach it for him. I'm letting other people come along to it as well, but it's to teach him Google Photos because I've worked with him for years, but he doesn't know my new stuff I'm doing. So if you ask Wandy questions about Google Photos, he's just going to look at you deer in the headlights. But we got the second Google Photos class. You're welcome to come along to it. We're going to cover the couple things I circled here. We're talking about space and flash drive. We're going to talk about in the next course, which will be in here at 3:30 on the next C-Day. Enjoy Berlin. Enjoy Warnemünde. Enjoy Copenhagen. I think those are the only places you can really go. Or Rostock. Bye!
Thank you.